We begin with the fallout as the nation absorbs something many thought impossible even recently, something Donald Trump warned would roil the country and cause sustained riots. It did not. The fact and the imagery of a former president arrested by the same government he once ran. That was just yesterday. Jack Smith spoke out through his filing, through his team in court. And today, the person who hired Smith and oversaw the decisions leading to that arrest is speaking out about it for the first time. So we're going to show you here at the top of the broadcast what Attorney General Garland said today, a little bit of it, along with, together with Garland, the context of the only remarks we have heard from Special Counsel Jack Smith.
I appointed Mr. Smith.
Our laws that protect national defense information are critical.
Justice Department's commitment to both independence and accountability.
Charging Donald J. Trump with felony violations of our national security laws.
Mr. Smith is a veteran career prosecutor.
Conspiracy to obstruct justice.
Experienced and talented prosecutors and agents.
Violations of those laws put our country at risk.
Who share his commitment to integrity and the rule of law.
We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone.
There you have it. We put that together because, as everyone now knows, you have an attorney general and the special counsel he appointed. They work at the same Justice Department. We know that the attorney general has oversight there. We've never seen them in a room together. We certainly haven't seen them come out and speak on this case together. So now we have these bookended from today and last week. And the rule of law, clearly a theme for both men, which means one rule of law for all. And you can see the government machinery enforcing that approach in some of the new materials we've just gotten today. We now have the newly revealed bond document in this case, U.S. v. Trump, defendant. It notes defendant Trump shall appear before the court. It notes that he must not violate any laws while on release. In this case, there is no reason to expect him to be, for example, incarcerated before trial, but that is what it refers to, that he is on release. And yes, in theory, like any other defendant, if he blatantly violated other laws, that could take away his release before trial. Then you have the mandated signature in Donald Trump's Sharpie. He is officially a defendant in the eyes of this government that he once ran. We are looking at the machinery of the rule of law, documents that are instantly of great historic significance. Now, this reversal that Trump is going through from commander-in-chief to defendant awaiting fate about his liberty is quite a reversal. It's something that a military veteran and his former chief of staff, John Kelly, says is rattling Trump, telling the Post the former boss here now is scared bleepless. That's how we can say it on TV. And there's a stark contrast from Trump's public speeches and antics to what went down in the courtroom, which, again, we endeavored to bring you in real time yesterday, and now we have the transcript, where we see inside the court for the first time that the judge asked, quote, is the prosecution asking for former President Trump to surrender his passport? And Jack Smith's prosecutor, his hand-picked prosecutor for this case, says, no, Your Honor. We also see now in writing the judge's orders for defendant Trump, quote, I'm imposing the special condition that former President Trump may not communicate with the co-defendant, Waltine Nada, that's his full name, about the case. And we have these images that Donald Trump does not want the public to focus on. These are the moments that, as I've told you, he keeps distracting from with speeches and press appearances and his many, many social media posts. This is a portrait of two arraignments, each governed under the rules of access that we have. One in New York, where a photographer snapped this picture of Donald Trump morose there at the table for his arraignment, and the other, the sketch from yesterday in Miami. A twice impeached, now twice indicted president who awaits now 2 trials. We know that Trump was pretty silent in court. You have that image there, again, captured yesterday, which is a contrast to what he tried to do hours later last night, where he went to New Jersey and held a kind of a pep rally for MAGA loyalists, including the My Pillow guy. And I want to leave this on the screen for a moment because we are going to have many moments like this, many choices for voters to make in terms of what they focus on. We are a democracy where people pay attention to what they choose. The press, which sometimes is discussed, even over-discussed, how the press figures out how and when to take this. As Rachel emphasized last night, we will give you certain facts from what Donald Trump did last night there, but we will not just be airing it live without any journalistic fact-checking or context. But the contrast that you see on your screen is important. It's where I begin tonight, because Donald Trump wants his folks, first and foremost, but as many other people as he can, to focus on that. And if the critics attack that and overreact to that and respond to that, all the better, because they will not be looking at the picture on the left. That Donald Trump sat quiet, powerless, out of control for 45 minutes while a court, under the auspices of a branch of government that is part of the United States federal government that he once ran, decided his fate, determined his future in this case where he does remain presumed innocent. Now, anything that Donald Trump says in those distraction efforts or defense efforts can be held against him, and we'll get into that as well tonight. But I mention this because we have now absorbed something that we were told might never happen, or if it did happen, it would just have a total meltdown. That was Donald Trump's version of events. And now we're living through it, and you can decide for yourself, how does it feel? And can we handle it? And can we do this together as a country? Because we are past the Rubicon of the test. We will be tested on this. We will be following the rule of law, and we will be doing it through the trial. If it gets to a trial, he's afforded all the rights to challenge that or argue for dismissal. But if it gets to a trial, we will be tested by this very particular defendant, who has been very clear, very blunt, even honest at times, about his disdain for the laws that govern you and your life, his disdain for the national security apparatus, which dutifully tried to keep him and the rest of us safe, his disdain for any law enforcement, be it a police officer at the Capitol on January 6th or the FBI that has investigated him and found the evidence, his disdain for all of that, and his argument, as he argued against the peaceful transfer of power last time, that he is above all of it, that he is better than you, that he is above the state and its processes, and that the only time he likes judges or prosecutors or courts or anything else is when it already is rigged to personally benefit him. That is not the rule of law that Jack Smith and Merrick Garland were speaking about.